Welcome, Babes Universe. We're back for another episode of the Booze Free Babes podcast. And today, I'm so excited. We have Carrie Wessling with us. And for those of you that attended the 8th annual Recovery Bridge Walk, then you got an opportunity to meet Carrie and hear her story. And for those of you that didn't get a chance to attend the Bridge Walk, now's your chance to hear from Carrie. We're so excited to have you on. A little bit about Carrie. It is a pleasure to introduce Carrie Wessling, speaker and CEO of Density Dropping, Recovery with Spiritual Psychology and Energy Healing. Wow, what a dynamic name for your company, for your business. Carrie, welcome to the show. How are you today?
It's an honor to be here. I am well. How are you?
Great. I've had 3 cups of coffee, so I'm sure you can experience that through the screen this morning.
Yes, me too. It's Friday. It's like 1, 2, okay, 3. I'll drink some water too, but we'll start on 3. Yeah.
Well, I did grab that 3rd cup before we started recording, so that way I have a little go-go juice. But Carrie, I had an opportunity to meet you at the bridge. Well, actually, I'll back up. You and I connected online before we even met through Favor, right? And then we got to meet face to face at the bridge walk. So that was really cool that I got to meet you before we even realized that we had some overlapping circles.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was. I remember the second that it struck me from screen to in the flesh, I think I even kind of grabbed your face. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're her. Sorry about that. That was a little invasive, but I was so excited. And there was a lot of moving parts at the event. So it took me a second.
Absolutely. So I've got to just share a little bit about Carrie and density dropping, you guys, because this is powerhouse stuff right here. Okay. So, she sent me this little snippet and I was like, we've got to say more than this because her bio is just too long and beautiful not to share more of it. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to share just a little bit more about Carrie. She created density dropping after 25 years of carrying pain that was no longer hers. What? Like that first sentence just blew me away. That's why I have to continue reading. I know the weight of a lifetime of shoulds, never quite measuring up and feelings of defeat. Wow. Can we all agree to that as well? And then Carrie's trained in spiritual psychology, energy healing, resolution therapy, and other integrative practices. I'm so excited to take a deep dive. But the deeper training came through lived experience, overcoming alcoholism, workaholism, autoimmune disease, depression, anxiety, burnout, and the unglamorous sacred work of rebuilding from the inside out. Wow, those are some powerful words. I love it. Together, we release the past, empower the present, and move forward. Move toward the future of your dreams, one brave, badass step at a time. Yes. I read that this morning, Carrie. I read it a couple of times and I was like, okay, we've got to share all of that because there's so much to unpack. And I just want to hear, how did you come up with density dropping? I probably already know, but share with us that and then walk us through what it's like working with you.
Okay. So the name itself was birthed through a belief that I have that throughout life, our energy fields, our biofields, we're so much more than these physical bodies. Certain things happen in life and they can leave imprints in our field, dense imprints that can interfere with our overall well-being. And so the dropping part of that is where the spiritual psychology energy work comes in, to where we clear the field, remove the blocks, and then allow the good to start filtrating in. That's the short.
Love that. That it makes sense. I'm absolutely following with that. And so it resonates for me. And just, I had shared with you a little bit briefly about my own journey through energy work and healing and how I feel like that was a huge piece to this puzzle, right? And just because we get sober, it doesn't mean that we automatically are healed. And so diving into that healing journey, I feel like is where really the yumminess is, right?
Hmm. Yes, yes, it is. And I think it's not uncommon to be like, okay, now the substance that was creating all of this destruction and chaos in my life is gone. I'm good. Let's just go. But that was just one layer, my experience. And upon that being removed, my thing was alcohol. Then it allowed more unraveling in a beautiful, unglamorous way of like, oh, there's all these layers of things that have been driving this self destruction for 25 years, whether it was alcohol, that was the most destructive of them, and then the others that you named at the beginning. And that is what led me to desperately seek more holistic healing modalities, frequency medicine, energy healing, ancient wisdom, universal law, things of that nature, because having gone through 28 treatment centers, 5 of which were my choice, the others were court ordered, I wasn't getting better. I would get some time, 30, 60, 90 days, and then pop off again, and back I went. And bless all of those centers, because I think it's a beautiful thing that in this day and age, we have safe places to go where
Yeah.
there is support. Majority of them that I went to were in the traditional, more cognitive realm. And I needed somatics, I needed spiritual surgery, I needed release, I needed a place to just unravel. And I needed somewhere for the pain that I didn't even have words for, that I couldn't comprehend. I needed somewhere for it to just go, because I was so exhausted from trying to intellectualize and make sense and compartmentalize a spiritual hijacking of an affliction. Like, I have some different views on, I have some different views on what substance abuse disorder, addiction, I consider it chronic escapism in so many ways, that it's soul fragmentation, that somewhere in our lives along the way, things have happened that really hurt, and part of our soul just kind of split off. Or there's, within the consumption of the substance, it can weaken our field, and some less than ideal energies can enter and attach. And I could go on and on about this, but maybe that gets it said, the abbreviated version. And so as I kind of started to turn the corner on researching more on that realm, sort of the esoteric spiritual side, I'm like, I'm going that way, because it resonated. I was like, yes, I feel like I'm under attack. I mentioned while I was in Charleston speaking that I often refer to it as like this, it's kind of dark, but it gets it said, this poltergeist with talons, like this unforeseeable force that just comes in, takes over, and from there, who knows what I'll do. See you in a day, see you in a week, see you never, I don't care. And then, sobering up and reflecting back, and it's like, I did what? And even in recovery, going back to the darkest of those moments, just being able to have access to feeling really sad for that woman who was just, I don't identify with her. Like it was like it was a different, something else was living in that body, and it wasn't my soul, it wasn't my spirit, something had taken over. And when I say this, I mean, there's also a blend of like, I also know that I am responsible and need to take accountability for what I did. And I just found a little extra grace in a different viewpoint of like, accessing that I can forgive myself. Like I'm not a monster. I'm not a lost cause. And I think that is one of the things that I am so adamant about in the work that I do is offering this alternative view and offering up the message, saying to people that are still out there in a lot of pain and just bamboozled and disoriented and thinking like, is happening? What is this? Why can't I stop? Despite all of this wreckage, here I am still doing it, is to just offer the message of like, you're not broken. You are not a monster. You are not a lost cause. Like, God has really big plans for you, and so does the devil, aka poltergeist, you know? So, yeah. And just
Here,
carry, yeah, go ahead.
what I'm hearing you say is a lot of radical self love, right? Self acceptance, self love, loving yourself where you are in that moment. But I wanted to circle back to a couple of things that I picked up on that you were saying. One, the pain, and two, how we store that in the body and how we've, like you said, somatics. And I know that's something that we're all about, right? Like moving that emotion through the body and where in our bodies do we feel it? And when we're talking about that physical pain that we get, it's an emotional pain, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it
Mm-hmm.
plays out really in real life inside of our vessels, inside of our bodies, and it creates a sensation, whether it's head, neck, shoulders, in your chest, in your belly. But yeah, I think, am I picking up? Is that what you're indicating? Is that basically cycling that through the body emotionally and
Yeah,
energetically?
yes, yes, the psychosomatics of it, of yes, the emotional, mental, um, what's like
Connection.
uh, alchemizing into physical pain, as well as just this emotional eruption of pain that I didn't have words for. So kind of both.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's really
Mm-hmm.
cool. I love the description and I love the approach. And it's hard to verbalize that. It's hard to explain to a normie or someone that's not, afflicted in some way. Like it's really
Mm-hmm.
hard for them to understand, like, why can't you just stop drinking?
Right.
Or, it's not that simple. And I mean, it is, but it's also like there's a layer of stuff underneath that we have to address. And
Mm-hmm.
when we remove the substance, whatever that is, and in this case, we're talking about alcohol, if we remove that substance, then it creates this opening
Mm-hmm.
where we can feel, and we're
Mm-hmm.
not used to that. And we don't know what to
Mm-mm.
do with all of these emotions that we're just like
Mm-mm.
overwhelmed by. And that, I don't want to call it a vicious cycle, but it could be. It can be a vicious cycle of we're
Can
getting
be.
overwhelmed with emotions and then we've got to stuff that back down and then we have a return to use and it just keeps happening, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. Returning to using was a huge, huge part of my story for a decade. Yeah.
And we get to love that version too, right?
We do, because it makes sense. Like there was just so much that wanted out. And every time it started to surface, I was like, nope, see ya, lug, lug, lug. Somehow, I just decided I had had enough. And let's be real, at the time I decided I had had enough, not because I thought too highly of myself. It was more because I was just so tired of hurting people. I knew that something had to change. And that's how it started for me.
It's beautiful and act and really self-aware, like even in, your active using time frame, right? You were self-aware enough to realize that you were hurting the people around you and that was your breaking point for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, it took a few times, but it was the catalyst where I was like, this isn't me. This is not my life. I'm done. Yeah. And then I have
Resonate.
a beautiful mentor in the energy healing world um, that I learned. He got me started on this whole path that just blew my mind. But his message has been, he's like, it ends when you say it ends. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Because there were 1,000 times that I wish it would have ended. And he says it ends when you verbally declare out loud, I declare it ends now. And within that, well, I'll save that for later. But within that, it's like it almost frees up. It's a declaration to the universe, and it just frees up space to begin to move one step at a time towards better
Change.
things, for lack of a
Yeah,
better word.
something that, yeah, just a better life in general. I love
Yeah.
that. And there's something that you said just now that actually, it's not every week that I record episodes back to back, but this just happened to be one of those weeks. And the person that I had on yesterday actually said something very similarly about making that declaration to the universe and just asking, just saying to your higher power, God, universe, source, whatever it is that you believe in and exists, just verbalizing that and getting to that place of surrender within your own life to say, I've had it. I can't do this anymore. I can't live like this anymore. Please remove this desire, or please give me the strength to take this to the next level. And I think it's important that we have that moment, because that moment is when, I mean, perhaps that moment is when the universe steps in and starts aiding you in
Mm-hmm.
those tools to help you, to help kind of steer or guide you down that path. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, very much so. Because like it's said in many 12-step programs, and like we are beyond human aid. And when I finally accepted that and kind of turned the corner on, like, I have to surrender to something powers far beyond my human comprehension to save this, to make this end. um yeah, and so yeah, it was just a declaration of like, I am done. Do what you need to do, but I am done with that. And I, my first reaction was anger. Then it's the cycle of grief. Then it's like
Yeah.
grieving,
So
anger, gratitude,
was
God.
that was the moment, it started with the energy healing for you, and that was the moment that led you to walking a sober path?
No, it started the moment I declared, I mean, I'm detoxing and I'm not sleeping and I'm just sitting outside. And um actually, this is sort of, I was sitting outside and I was like, I have a feeling there's going to be a skunk that walks up. And then 5 minutes later, a skunk walked up. And I was like, okay, hello, universe. Hello, God. And then that's when I just declared, like, I was so depleted, so done. And from there, God, universe, source, there's many names for it. Just, I think that it was time. It was time to reveal a different path. And I believe that the magic of the surrender, I was just like, just take me now. Like, I'm done trying to figure this out, because smarty pants me, in my brain. It's just, I had to be that depleted. Like, I don't get it. I'm not even going to try to get it. You show me what to do, even when I don't know what I'm doing. Just please move my feet and be with my thoughts. And then I found an energy healer, and then that brought me to the next level of ancient wisdom and Celtic, and shamanism, and all sorts of different things. And so,
That's so exciting. I love that part of the journey, right? Because it's a self-discovery, and it's
mhm.
it's like, how deep do we want to go within ourselves? What do we want to uncover? What are we courageous enough to address? and
Yeah.
transmute, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
I think that's the beauty of all of this, and it starts,
Mhm.
like you said, with that spiritual awakening declaration, that call to the universe, that reaching out to your higher power. And it sounds like that
Mhm.
skunk walked across your path at the perfect time, just to let you know that the universe was listening. We hear you, Carrie. We are
Yes.
sending this skunk just to tell you that the shit stinks and that we need to go in a different direction today. Okay.
Yes. I mean, it was very affirmative, and those types of things happen all the time now, which are just little like winks from the universe. Um, yeah, but that was really that was a pivotal moment of just like, oh, we heard her think about a skunk. Let's just, but all paths are different, and a skunk just happens to be a part of it
That's the best
back
story
in
yet.
the day.
I
That's
mean,
one
we should just
story.
like lead with that and just be like, well, let me tell you how a skunk helped me get sober, guys.
Yeah, yeah,
Be the
yeah,
topic of
yeah.
your next
Or this
keynote.
one time that I channeled an ancestor and he delivered a message that was very, very clear and loud and left an imprint. And I was like, this is fun. What else do we can
Ooh, I'm excited to
do?
hear about that story if you want to share.
Sure, sure. Yes. So the skunk and ancestor experiences were not very far apart, but I was listening to a podcast by someone who I adore. His name is Shaman Durek, and he was bringing Lacey Phillips through a process. She has a podcast called How to Be Magnetic. He was bringing her through a process on how to channel ancestors. And so I'm just in the kitchen, kind of just dinking around. And I'm like, well, this sounds fun. Why not? And so I did the thing where you ask for a frequency in your right palm from the universe. You say thank you once you feel it. Then you ask for it to move into your elbow. Once you feel it, you say thank you. Then into your shoulder. Once you feel it, you say thank you. Then you ask that any preconceived disbeliefs, anything that may get in the way of sending you to the other side of the veil be removed, and then send it into your heart and go to the other side of the veil. And I was kind of giggling throughout this process of like, I mean, I know on some, like at that point in time, I was like, it felt like a remembrance of like, I do believe in this, but yet I still feel like this is still kind of weird doing it right now, but I'm going to do it. And my great, great grandfather came through, and I didn't know who he was. I had to do research afterwards. Um, hmm But you don't see it with your eyes or hear it with your ears, but it's undeniably clear. Like something, someone is here, and like, what is the message? And the message is a little sacred, so I'll leave that part out. But yeah, he delivered the message, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. And then afterwards, I called both of my parents and said, like, okay, so please don't send me to the psych ward, but do we have a Henry in the family? They were like, yes, we do. That would be your great great grandfather. And then I looked him up, and then I asked my aunt for a photo, and the photo, it was him in the photo. And when he showed up, he was wearing like he had these very strong hands, like he had been working with his hands his whole life, and just weathered face and a big German nose, and those like overalls that you wear when you're working with steel and stuff, the thickness.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how he showed up. And then I started researching him, and he started this like steel mill manufacturing thing in Kansas City. And so like that's what he would wear to
Fascinating.
work. And I was like, okay, this is going to be my new
Love
family.
how we get like these little pieces of information, right? Like each one is just a little clue, and it's up to us to kind of follow that
Yes,
rabbit
yes,
hole and figure out the message. And that's
yes.
pretty
And I
cool that you
believe
were
the
able to lean
universe
into
is
that.
always leaving breadcrumbs. Like, do we gift ourselves slowing down to hear them, see them, honor them? I think in this day and age, it's so easy to get lost in like going, doing, achieving, clout, busy, this, that, computer screens. Not that the little winks from the universe can't show up in all of that, but yeah, I believe the universe is always leaving us little breadcrumbs.
And right, we just have to quiet down enough to hear it. And that's something that I definitely am working on. The
Same.
quiet part. The quiet part.
Yes, same. You know that mention of workaholism right in the beginning? Yeah, that's still something I have to catch myself on. Like I think you might be trying to fit more into a day than a day can hold. Let's just chill out for a while.
I'm so glad that we touch on this, and I actually want to bring some awareness to the fact that I feel like I created Booze Free Babes exactly for that reason. I needed to be of service and add more work to my plate because I figured if I stayed busy, that I would stay sober. And so my relationship with this community and this brand has shifted since because in the very beginning when I'm not going to say white knuckling it. I think I rode the pink cloud for a really long time.
Same.
Yeah. I mean, I was living a really large life and I rode that pink cloud for several months, maybe 9, and then it burst. And when it burst, maybe 6 months, we'll say 6 to 9 months. When it burst, it was because, oh, wow, there is an opposite to happiness and joy, and it can be sadness and anger. And then when those emotions started to arise, I was like, I really need to know where is a safe place I need a safe container to experience this in. Right. And that's what also led me back to energy healing because I felt like that created a safe environment for me to feel my feelings. And I'm still
Mhm.
obviously working through that today. Like that's an ongoing process, just
Yeah.
creating an environment within this is my little Booze Free Babes clubhouse, but creating a safe, fun, comfy environment here where I can curl up in a ball and cry if I need to or scream into a pillow. Like, we have to have those resources so that way we can continue to fuel our healing journeys, right?
Yes. Yes. And those big waves of emotion, the crying, the raging into a pillow, like I don't think there's a common like message words of just at least for me it was like pick yourself up by your bootstraps, kid, get on with it, and I, that kept me sick for a long time. But those big waves of emotion, like they carry so much energy and they carry so much truth. And my experience, maybe yours too, is like this feels like it's been in there for a while. Like it's ancient. It may not even belong to me. Like this may be a past life thing, and now here we are. We're just going to release it. Let's go, buckle up. Uh yes, but in I think that is such like that's some next level recovery is riding those waves of the intensity of those, allowing them to do their thing without drowning in them, and coming out on the other side a little bit lighter with a little stronger sense of safety within self of like, whew, made it through that one.
The safety of self. I got to hang on that for a second because for me, anger was the emotion that surprised me the most. And then, of
Mm.
course, there was all this stuff underneath anger, right? But, you know, in my life, I felt like I was silenced a lot and I wasn't able to express the way that I needed to. And I don't think that any of us were really taught healthy emotional intelligence, right, from our parents. And so, I mean, I'm just sorry, mom and dad, just throwing that out there. But
Yeah, not
that's
your fault.
it's a learned skill, right?
Yeah.
And we evolve and learn more as we continue to go on. But that anger is the one that really scared me. And so learning to love myself in anger and recognizing that there was just a scared little girl underneath that facade that's where I feel like some really deep healing started to begin for me, because I would just show up in anger because it was the only way that I could get people to hear me. You know what I mean? And if I throw a temper tantrum loud enough, then maybe they'll hear my needs, you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
so, wow, getting down to some of the root of all, like I'm actually like, whew, I'm saying some stuff on the air today. I might need to move this energy through a little bit. But that anger is a dance that I still have to this day that I'm learning to navigate. And the thing that I'm learning the most is showing up in love for myself and showing up in love for that little girl that's scared, that's throwing the temper tantrum underneath it all and just wants to be heard, or a hug and maybe a cookie.
Yes, yes. So how do you move through it now when it shows up, along with the hugs and the cookies?
Hugs and cookies are for after.
Okay.
Right now, the practice that I've been doing is a lot of somatic work. I do work with a coach on that, and resetting my nervous system and recognizing it before it gets away from me. Are we still there? Did I lose
You're
you?
frozen.
Oh,
Oh, there we go.
oh no. I was like, did
Froze
I
for a
lose you for a
second.
second? All right, here we go. We're coming
I
back in.
lost you at somatics. No, I lost you at central nervous system regulation.
Okay, so I'm really focusing on regulating central nervous system, choosing joy, intentional fun. We talk about intentional fun a lot in the Booze Free Babes community, that when we are choosing fun intentionally, that it sets us at a higher energetic level, right? And so when the world comes in and knocks you down a peg or two, isn't it so much easier to get knocked down from an elevated state than to get knocked down when we're already in the dooms and depths of hell? I mean, come
Yeah.
on, right? Yes.
Yes, the universe works faster when we're having fun, when our heart is exploding with joy because it's an entirely different frequency, and when we send it out, we attract more of it in. That's just yeah, it's just energy law.
So I'm trying to, well, we can't always stay in fun, although I would love to stay in fun. Yesterday, I'm a mortgage broker by day and a recovery superhero by night, in case anybody wanted to
Yeah, you
know.
are.
But during the day, like, I have my day job. And yesterday I had a frustrating situation with a customer, and I have a scooter. I just got a scooter. And so I was like, you know what? My husband just put it together. And I was like, I'm going to take this thing for a spin. It goes up to 20 miles an hour. I was zipping around the neighborhood like crazy, ran into a 9-year-old kid who also had an e-bike. We started a freaking motorcycle gang and we're cruising around the neighborhood at 4:30 in the afternoon. It was the best workday ever.
Yes. Yes, the playfulness, the things we enjoyed doing as children. Like that's one of the things that I encourage the people that I work with to do is like, did you enjoy climbing trees when you were a kid? Between now and when we talk in a few days. Like just the simple little things. Because healing isn't just about like overcoming the ick and working through the trauma and the feelings, and it's also like next layer is like allowing joy and accepting and honoring that our birthright is joy and abundance and fun and love and da 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 da. And yeah, I think that is one of the lingering effects of substance use disorder, is that we're withered down to this like stamp of like, you don't deserve this because of what you did. No, no, it's not how God works. It's not how the universe works. Like, you can allow the good in.
Yes, absolutely. And I was gonna circle back and say something about the fun, and then I just lost it. So we'll just keep it
It'll
moving.
come back. That's on me because I just took it and ran with it. You said fun. And I was like, yes, gotta learn
All
how to
good.
have. Yeah, include
Jumping in
fun
mud
with the
puddles, that's what it
slobbing.
was. Yes,
Yeah.
jumping in mud puddles. That is something that I love to do, especially in rain boots. I will put on rain boots and go jump in a mud puddle in a second. And we need to do that. Like, That's going to be my assignment for you, Carrie, for both of us. We need to go jump in a mud puddle the next time that it rains, take a picture and send it to each other and hold us accountable for it. How about it?
I really loved doing that when I was young too. Yeah.
Humor me. Let's do
Okay.
it.
We're going to do it. It's good. It's supposed to rain here today in Minneapolis. So
Yes.
yeah, get ready. You'll be getting photos, probably videos, all of the
I'm
things.
going to share it on the Booze Free Babes podcast Instagram
Yes.
account. I hope you don't
That's what
mind.
we did.
So
Yeah.
tell us how we can find you. Tell us your website address and also your socials if you don't mind. And we'll be sure to post it
Absolutely.
with the show as well.
Okay. So the most direct line to me would be through social media. Facebook is my name, Carrie Wessling. And my handle on Instagram is Carrie Joy, but it's Joy with two O's. My middle name is Joy.
Love that.
That's the most direct way. Yep. And then through there, you'll find my site. There's a direct link. Just click right on it.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to send everybody to your Instagram to follow you on Instagram. And then we also want to encourage people to check out her site. That's where I found the information that I read earlier. And there's a lot more content that you guys can definitely check out and binge on. Carrie, any last minute thoughts that you would like to leave our listeners with? Perhaps they're having an internal dialogue about choosing something differently for themselves, or perhaps they're already on this journey and they're hitting a roadblock and just wanting to get to that deeper level.
The last thing that I really want to hammer in is that what you want wants you. So focus on what you want and then let magic do its thing. We keep it simple. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And right. Like the universe has a way of reorchestrating itself to bring you what is meant for you. What's meant for you
Mm-hmm.
is trying to get to you as much as it is meant for you. Usually it's us pushing it away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're not leaning into our gifts. So that's some really yummy feedback. Thank you, Carrie, so much. And we appreciate you for coming on the show. And I'll also be sure to post all of your links and all of your socials when we actually publish the show and the show notes and everything else so people can find you. And I hope that we get a chance to work together or collaborate
Yes.
in some way in the future. All right,
Yes, it's
guys.
such an honor
Thank
to
you.
be here. Thank you for having me and for being all of who you are. It just, oh man, the world's a better place with you in it.
Thank you so much for that. Happy Friday. That was like the best thing. I'm ending the week on that note. That's it, folks.
This is why strangers grab your face when they meet you for the first time because you're just magnetic. Sorry about that. Not really.
That is such a great compliment. Thank you. You know, my name is Ellen Christine Frazier, and Ellen stands for light. And my mom named me Christine because she's, a Christian. And so I don't share that often, but I just feel like I'm really living up to that. I want to lean into my light and I want to share that and shine it on the world. And I hope that this podcast allows me to do that. And what really brings me joy and lights me up on the inside is meeting women like you and having conversations like this. It fuels me like I can't explain it. It just does. And so this is me having intentional fun. Thank you for coming on the show and having fun with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. This was a delight.
Awesome. All right, folks, we're going to sign off for here. Have another great week, and we will be live next week. Booze Free Babes, the podcast. Talk to you soon.